Welcome to Murder and Everything Else. My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl. Joy and I are two very old friends who love to talk about murder and everything else. So, Joy, we need to talk a wee bit about Squid Game. So, all of you out there who are huge Squid Game fans, you know that the second season was released on December 26th of 2024. And if you are a fan like we are, I watched the first season 3 times and I'm now on my 4th time of watching it. If any of you are fans, I'm sure you were waiting excitedly for the second season to be released. And then if you don't already know, the third and final season is going to come out this year. And you know what I read while I was waiting at the doctor's office that I stormed out of because they were over an hour late, is that Netflix, they showed a few promos for the third season of Squid Game. And I guess Netflix Korea briefly had a video go live that didn't just have the 2025 release date, but a specific date of June 27th, 2025. I think they
What?
were supposed to reveal that yet, but we shall see if that information is correct. But yeah, I just read that.
Oh,
That
man.
it accidentally slipped that it's supposed to be June 27th. So I'm just letting you guys in on the secret. But I will have to say, we're not going to do any spoilers. I'm just telling you that if you're a huge fan and you don't know that the second season was released on December 26th, then you're not really a fan. But I will say, my word of advice is before you watch the second season, go back and watch the first season and watch it all the way through. That's my advice.
Yeah, I didn't do that, but I have to tell you, it's so good. I realized I don't remember everything from season one.
I know.
It's
We
amazing
talked about that.
how much you forget. You guys, this show, it checks so many boxes. It's so good. So good. The first episode of season two.
Okay, no spoilers.
Oh,
No
yes, and I am
spoilers.
interested from any of our listeners out there. Cheryl says she really struggles with their names. I'm wondering, does anyone else out there struggle with their names? I don't because I am Korean. So I
Hmm.
have a Korean name. And a lot of my family members have Korean names. Um, so I don't struggle with the names, but I could see, when I read not the Joy Luck Club, it's another book by Amy Tan called The Kitchen God's Wife. I actually had to diagram the names of the characters on a piece of paper while I was reading the first like couple chapters because I couldn't keep the people straight. And you know what? It actually helped me remember who was who and develop the characters as I was reading. It is tricky when you're reading uh names that are so the Korean alphabet is not the Latin alphabets, doesn't have, A B C D like that. So it's not this so you're not looking at, so if it was written out in Korean, you wouldn't be able to read it like if you were reading Spanish, like, if you read someone's name in Spanish, Emmanuel Lopez, it's written in, letters that you and I can read. So I wonder if that's what part of why it's confusing.
Well, also I'm reading their name as it's spelled in English because I have to read the subtitles, but the way they pronounce it isn't even like
Yeah, it's
it,
because in Korean alphabet, there's different vowels and consonants, and
oh.
some are like, vowels and consonants that we don't have in English.
Well, anyway, despite or in spite of the confusion with the names, it is an excellent TV show. The Koreans really know how to bring the TV and movies to life. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, and
But
the villain, I have to tell you,
no spoilers.
if you love Mads Mikkelsen, the villain, oh, doesn't he bring Korean Mads Mikkelsen?
Yes. Oh my
Yeah,
God. You are
that's what we
absolutely
that's what we
right.
call him. We were watching it, and I just turned and I go, he is bringing Korean
Oh,
Matt
yes.
Mickelson, and he has just this. He has a very, very handsome, chiseled face,
Well, he's got such a
but
chiseled face. My
but
God. Yeah.
man, he can do emotion like 20 emotions, just like Matt Mickelson. He's got all the right wrinkles in all the right places.
All the right wrinkles in all the right places. That is an
Yep.
ad for something. But anyway, had to mention that.
Guys, this is the time of year when I hate going outside. And for those of you who have been listening to this for a while, remember when Cheryl hated going outside for like 7 months in a row? Well, this is the month where I cannot. It said it was 50 degrees today, but it felt like it was 20. And it makes me so
Oh.
sad because I don't even want to walk the dogs. I don't want to put on shoes. I don't even want to put on, like, I didn't even want to put on cute clothes today. It was so, that's how cold it was. In order to put those clothes on, you have to take your other clothes off. And the idea of being naked in this cold weather just makes me want to curl up into a ball. I literally, if I could spend all the next 3 months laying in bed with the bed warmer on, I would.
Yeah, I
I
understand.
I bought new boots and they arrived yesterday. I haven't even tried them on
Oh,
because it's
because your
too
feet are too
cold.
cold.
Everything's cold. I do have an update for you guys, and it's not about the cold weather, but
Oh, I thought that was it.
we are being currently being listened to in, guess how many states, Cheryl, out of 50 states?
Oh, the States? 40? I don't know. 38?
44 states. What's going on with those
Wow.
other 6 states? That's what I want to know.
Wow.
So, if you are in one of those 6 states, you need to listen to us so that we can check that off of our 2025 bingo card. Okay?
That is so cool.
Yeah. Cheryl, you got any updates?
I do. I'm surprised you and I have not talked about this, but I just wanted to mention that horrific incident in New Orleans on New Year's morning at like 3 o'clock in the morning, where the guy committed an act of terrorism and drove his rented truck through the streets, Bourbon Street, where everybody was celebrating New Year's Eve, but it was like 3 in the morning, and he killed 15 people. And the last I heard, there
Oh,
were 30 in the hospital, 30 people in the hospital with serious or ear injuries. And he was killed in a shootout that night. But
whoa.
that I just want to give my condolences to the family and friends and the people who were affected by this, because that is just to be out celebrating. It's sort of like our subject today. You guys must have seen the title, I'm pretty sure, A Bride Killed on Her Wedding Day. It's sort of, to me, it's just so to be out celebrating something, and then, it's like dying on vacation. You know what I mean? Like going on
Yeah,
vacation and then getting killed.
that's horrible.
It's like I equate it to the tragic circumstance of when a mother dies during childbirth. Boy, I really know how to bring the house
Ooh,
down, I'm
girl,
telling
do
you.
you?
But
Yikes.
I mean, to be out in, how many people actually like planned this night and who weren't from there and moved there, or flew there to because New Orleans, it's kind of that would be a really fun place. It'd be like New York, Times Square in New York, right? To
Yep.
celebrate. Like, it's just sad because they have, I forgot what they're called, but they're these steel poles supposed to barricade the street so no
Oh,
vehicles can go down. And the stadium nearby, they're preparing for the what is it called? Not the Super Bowl, the super something. And so they were in the process of, I don't know what their excuse was. Sounded like an excuse. Like, you had this big celebration going on with all these people, and there was nothing to protect the street from a vehicle driving down there.
yeah, that's
And
crazy.
the Louisiana district attorney said that they don't believe he acted alone. So the other people have not been caught because there were explosive devices that were set up at different places. I don't know if they were caught on security footage, but I think it was 3 men and a woman that they are looking for. So anyway, that's my update. I just think that's so tragic.
It is tragic, and our hearts go out to all the people who are injured or who lost their lives. That's terrible. Should be
Yeah.
able to go to a celebration without worrying about, whether or not you're going to come home dead or alive.
Yeah.
I think about all the, celebrations that I've been to in my lifetime. It's just so, I mean, yeah, I never once went to something and worried
And
about,
worried
being
about it. Yeah.
shot at.
And I think now you have to,
Mhm.
or they,
Oh
and
yeah,
to
you
me,
do.
and I'm sorry, but in this day and age where there's school shootings almost every week or month, it's inexcusable for them not to have secured that street. I don't
Yeah.
even really understand what their excuse was. They were like, we were in the process of something, something. So they were those barricades were down. And I'm like, there's no excuse. There's just
Mhm.
no excuse, even if you put up temporary ones and whatever, because I can't even explain to you what they were doing that it was down at that time, because I don't think there's any excuse. You put up
Right.
temporary ones, you put up something. But this guy just mowed down. I mean, I just get goosebumps, like not in a good way, just chills, just how horrifying that is to be celebrating.
Mhm. It's
So,
terrible.
anyway, say something happy.
Okay. Well, I'm going to roll into shout outs. I just want you all to know that they opened a new UPS store that's just 3 miles away from my house. And it's made my life so much easier. You can take your Amazon returns
Yeah,
there.
that's
Isn't
what I
that
was gonna
exciting?
say. Oh,
Oh
Amazon
my
and
God.
Kohl's.
You
Yeah,
walk in, you just hand them your Amazon return. They give you a receipt. I mean, it's seamless.
yeah. I've
It's
threatened
magical.
you and I have threatened to cancel our Amazon accounts, but they make it so easy to buy stuff
Yeah,
and
they need to
return it.
stop making it so easy.
Uh, Except what is up with Prime, Amazon Prime, and all these movies with ads now? And then at the bottom, when you're watching it, it says click here for ad free. And I'm like, you know what? Screw you. I'm already giving you a lot of money. Like,
I
why am I
know.
getting movies with ads now? Um, and then having to pay. Listen, you guys, I encourage you to have more than one streaming channel, because oftentimes Prime will be charging for a movie that is included with Netflix or Hulu or Peacock or something else.
Mhm.
So it is just shady as fuck. But I do agree they make returns so easy.
Oh,
That's where they have
so
me.
easy, so seamless. It's great. And then
Yep.
also listen to this. I got a dress in the mail and I don't know where it came from. It's true. I looked at every receipt and there was no receipt. It came addressed to me. It's cute. I didn't
Oh,
order
well,
it.
maybe you sleep shop. Instead of
I
sleepwalk, you
swear to
sleep
you,
shop.
you know what it is? It's the clothing gods. They've given me a little New Year's celebration. I also haven't tried it on because it's too cold.
You have to wait till June to try.
I have to wait until it warms up before I can put it on. Guys,
So,
I
are you
I
taking
think that
showers fully clothed, or how
I
does that work?
I there's a whole process. I have to turn on the space heater. I have to turn on the shower. It has to heat up until it's piping hot. I have to stand right by the door and I have to have my robe, my towels and all of my clothes right there. And then what I have to do is I have to jump in and then stand directly under the hot water. And then when I turn it off, I have to have my towel, my robe next to each other so that I can towel off and then just like jump into the robe. I mean, there's nothing worse. But
It's a
then
whole
remember,
thing.
the space heater's been running the whole time.
Hmm.
So then it is a little bit warmer thanks to the space heater. But I
Maybe
gotta
she
tell
get
you,
heated
wintertime just
floors.
it's not for the faint of
For the faint
heart.
part. Oh, I would love it. I don't like that.
Whatever.
Okay, all right.
Anyway,
Anyway,
you got any shout outs? Maybe
I
you
do.
sent me the dress. Did you send me the dress?
I'd like to take credit for it, but I did not. I think you need a security camera wherever your computers are or devices, and I think you need
Ah,
to record because I think you're sleep shopping.
I don't know. I'm not kidding you, Cheryl. I did not buy this.
Joy,
It's like the gods have smiled on me.
I, you probably you clicked on it and you didn't even realize it in your fury of shopping. Oh my
I
God.
don't know.
Um, uh, so my shout out is to, one of my favorite things was movies, and there's nothing like a good old classic. And I texted you the other night that I watched Office Space, and it is such a, it stands up today, even though it's from, I think it's from 1999. It's like
Yeah,
26 years old. It's so old, you guys.
it's
But
great.
if you've ever worked in an office, you need to see this movie. It is hilarious. It's so freaking funny. And it's a classic, and it deserves to stand. It does stand up to the test of time. But
It does.
if you have not seen it, I encourage you strongly to see this. It has nothing to do with The Office, the series The Office. However, it's just as good, but it's a movie called Office Space, and you need to check it out.
It's so
That's
good.
my shout out. Yeah.
TPS reports.
The TPS. Oh my
I
God.
love the TPS
It's so
reports.
good. It's so good.
Well, guys, I am here to tell you that we are back with what the people want. And that is we're here this week with our first murder of 2025. And we're here with our murder specialist that is none other than this rainbow and sunshine flower sunflower from the great state of Arizona. That's Cheryl.
Oh, uh-uh.
And she's here to bring you a little murder, a little mayhem, what she does best. So take it away, Cheryl. I can't wait
Oh,
to hear what kind of buzzsaw madness you have for us this week.
wow. Halfway through that introduction, I was going to be like, wow, who's on the podcast? Who's
I
our
know,
guest?
right? Guest speaker.
Okay, so today I had mentioned it earlier. We are going to talk about the bride that was killed on her wedding day. I think
Bam, bam, bam.
say no more. So my sources are Annie Elise 10 to Life on YouTube, Gisela K, Grizzly True Crimes on YouTube, fitnessnews.com, people.com, abcnews4.com, wcnc.com, NBC News, and the New York Post. So, your wedding day, the day you may have dreamed about since you were a little girl, the day you planned for months, maybe years, your life with your soulmate's about to begin, only to end less than 24 hours later. We are going to talk about the senseless killing of Samantha Miller. Eric Hutchinson was born on March 23rd, 1987, to his parents, Irvin and Annette Hutchinson. Eric is the youngest of three, with an older brother named Adam and an older sister named Alexis. Eric grew up in Ogden, Utah, and played football in high school before going on to play defensive back for Snow College and Utah Tech. In
Wait, I
college,
have to stop right there. So he grew up in Ogden, Utah. These people wouldn't happen to be Mormon, would they?
you can't help yourself when it comes to
I
Utah.
can't.
I don't know, but it's not pertinent to the
Okay.
story.
Okay. Carry on.
All right, thank you. So in college, he majored in communications with an emphasis on business organization. This prepared him for a sales career with a concrete and masonry business. Eric often traveled for work, and on one of his work trips in 2019, he grabbed a drink in the hotel lounge one night. A gorgeous woman with dark hair, dark eyes, and a smile that lit up the entire room caught his attention. This gorgeous woman was 34-year-old Samantha Miller, and she was also staying at the hotel on business. Samantha Miller, who went by Sam, was born on March 27, 1989, to her parents Lisa Miller and Brad Warner. She had two older siblings, Joseph and Mandy, and two younger brothers, Nathan and Jake. Sam was an empathetic and compassionate person. From the time she was a little girl, she always wanted to make people happy. She had many friends, but undoubtedly her best friend was her mother, Lisa. Sam was known to always say, "Love you
Okay.
more."
I gotta just stop you right
Yes.
there.
Okay.
I I don't understand people who say that their children are their best friends or children who say their parents are the best friends. I just don't get it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, your children are your children. They're not supposed to be your best friends, you know?
I think
Like,
when you
I'm
get
not
to a
going to tell
certain
my kids about, like, uh, first blowjob I gave and, like what it was like, to, I don't know, roll around the back seat of a Ford Mustang, That's the stuff you tell your best friend, not your daughter.
well, I don't do you think that maybe when you reach a certain age, when your children reach a certain age, the dynamic might see you and I have not we don't have my mom, you couldn't talk about sex. I mean, hell would freeze over before she talked about sex with us. So, but I think there are some people that are more open, but
I don't know, I'm pretty
uh,
open, but I don't want to talk about that stuff. And also, I want my kids to have their own best friends. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, they were really, maybe it's just a way of saying they were really close because they were really close.
Then
But
say
maybe,
really
don't you think?
close. I just don't like when people say, like, oh, my mom's my best friend. I'm like, your mom's your mom.
Well, I don't know. Hey, write into murder and everything else at gmail.com if you beg to differ with Joy. I think you can be. And she was in her 30s, so maybe this, maybe it wasn't always like that. Check back with us in about 15 years, Joy. So Sam liked to say love you more, and she and her mother got matching tattoos of this phrase. What do you
Oh.
think of that?
I'm okay with the matching tattoos.
Okay. All right. Has your approval.
Maybe
I may
she
proceed.
No, you said
What?
she wasn't an only child. I was gonna say maybe she was an only child, and if the mom was like 15 when she had the kid, then maybe they're like closer in age. They could be good friends. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, let's not poo-poo their friendship.
No poo
Okay?
pooing on friends.
Knowing right. After graduating high school, Sam attended East Coast Polytech, and after a few jobs, she eventually worked as a sales trainer for a software company. After meeting at the hotel bar, Sam and Eric spoke every day. Sam eventually moved to Utah to live with Eric. Sam grew up in North Carolina, and when she was a little girl, her family went on vacation to a little island south of Charleston in South Carolina called Folly Beach.
Oh
She
my
fell
God,
in love.
I've been to Folly Beach.
Is it beautiful?
Yeah, it's on James Island. And we rented a vacation home with my in laws and we stayed there. And it had a pier and it had a golf cart that we could ride into town every day. It was beautiful and so much fun and as hot as balls.
Oh, well, it must be because she fell in love with it and she knew she wanted to live there someday. So she and Eric moved to Charleston to be closer to Folly Beach. They became engaged in June of 2021, after which Sam spent over a year planning her dream wedding. And on April 28th, 2023, Samantha Miller, 34, and Eric Hutchinson, 36, had a beautiful wedding on Folly Beach with approximately 120 guests who had flown in from all over the world. They had a bohemian style reception with mimosas and homemade pineapple coconut cake. During the reception, Sam asked the DJ to announce a surprise dance with the most important person in her life, her mother. They danced to Just the Way You Are by Bruno Mars. I mean, they're really close. Their relationship was really, really close.
Do you think maybe her husband didn't like that? He thought they were too tight or something, or like he was jealous?
Sam's husband?
Yeah.
Mm, I don't see why he would be, but the photos posted on social media show a radiant bride and dashing groom celebrating a romantic kiss. The joyous moment illuminated by dozens of sparklers held aloft by family and friends surrounding the happy couple. The images radiate love and joy. However, these photos did not yield a happily ever after fairy tale. Instead, they captured the last few moments of Eric Hutchinson and Samantha Miller's life together. Just before 10 p.m., the couple left the wedding reception in a golf cart adorned with a just married sign. Eric's brother in law, Benjamin Garrett, was driving the golf cart. Benjamin's son, Brogan, who's Eric's nephew, was a passenger in the front seat. The bride and groom rode on the back of the cart facing backward. On the ride, Sam told Eric she wished this day would never end. While just over 3 miles away, 25-year-old Jamie Lee Komorowski was flying through the city in a Toyota Camry. Shortly after 10 p.m., Jamie Komorowski's Camry slammed into the back of the golf cart carrying the wedding party.
Oh,
She was
God.
driving 65 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone. The golf cart was thrown over 100 yards and rolled several times before coming to a stop. All occupants were thrown from the cart. Sam was pronounced dead at the scene, still in her wedding dress. Eric, Benjamin, and Brogan were taken to the hospital. When first responders checked on Jamie, they found she had no injuries, but the responder indicated smelling an odor of alcohol coming from her breath and person. When asked if she had anything to drink, Jamie stated that she had one beer and a drink with tequila about an hour prior. But
Oh,
when
sure.
yeah, listen to this.
Are
But
you
when
one beer? Are you kidding me?
one beer and a drink with tequila.
Mm.
But when Jamie was asked where she would place herself on a scale between 1 and 10, with 1 being completely sober and 10 being the most impaired, Jamie assessed her own inebriation at that moment as an 8. She became,
God.
I mean, she became uncooperative when asked to take a breathalyzer test. I don't think they
Surprise,
needed the test.
surprise.
I think it was clear as day that she was intoxicated. Jamie was arrested the next day. Her toxicology report showed she was 3 times over the blood alcohol limit at the
Oh
time of the
my God.
crash. She was charged with 4 felonies, 3 counts of felony DUIs resulting in great bodily injury or death, and 1 count of reckless homicide. Jamie spent 10 months in the Sheriff Al Cannon Detention Center in South Carolina. Her jail calls with her father are cringy and revealing. So there's a YouTube channel called Phone Calls from Prison. I haven't gone and listened to it because it's just nauseate. I just heard a snippet on Gizella, Grizzly True Crime channel, and that I don't want it's like when you asked me if I looked into the judge of the Richard Allen trial. Like I just didn't want to. I was already there was enough that was, you know,
So
troublesome.
you didn't listen to him or you listened to a snippet?
I didn't go to this channel called Phone Calls from Prison, but Gizella played some of them. And for example, on one of the calls between Jamie and her father, she says sorry to her dad, which he replies. So this tells you what kind of upbringing she had. The dad replies, "You have nothing to be sorry for. This was
What?
just a horrific accident." Yeah.
You're
Yes. And then she also says, "Why did this happen to me?"
to her?
Uh,
Someone's
yeah. So
dead.
exactly. So you have to wonder, like, I don't know, obviously don't know her parents, but for her dad to, and again, this is just an example. So you can imagine what the other calls are like, you know,
People
where her
are
dad,
mental. I swear to
yeah.
you, people are so mental.
I mean, well, I don't want to like equate this and put you in a hypothetical, but don't you? I mean, what would your reaction be if your kid did something really horrific,
You do the crime, you serve the time.
right? I mean, he was trying to.
Sorry, that came off as being a little bit flippant. But honestly, I mean, I think I've talked about it briefly. I mean, you get caught with your pants down, you that I'm sorry, it's just how it works.
Yeah, but he did a lot of consoling,
I guess
and
that's why so many people in prison, if they maintain their innocence. Like I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It's like it's almost like a broken record, and it almost comes off as being so it doesn't almost it comes off as being so disingenuous and so flippant. Okay, somebody is dead and three people are now probably in critical condition. It's like, don't say you didn't do it. I mean,
well, and it's obvious she did. So like her dad,
but the dad
you know,
shouldn't be saying it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's like it's
that
a
I
hundred
know.
percent. It's 100% her fault.
Yeah, and
And
there's also on the jail one of the jail calls, like her talking to him as if she's not going to suffer any consequences. She's like, well, when I get out, I'd like to da da da. And she's talking about how she's going to go on with her life when she gets through this little piece of it.
good
And her
luck.
dad's not setting her straight. It's really bizarre.
I don't.
But
I think there is a certain amount of denial. I really do. I feel like in order to like I don't know. I also think that her age probably had something to do with it. If she had been 40 when she went to prison for this crime, she would be looking at getting out and being close to 60 or 65. Your life is considerably different at that age than if you get out and, if she was 20 and then she got out and she's 40.
right, yeah. But I mean, you just have to wonder about the dad. Like, was he just trying to keep a stiff upper lip and keep things positive? I mean, or
I don't know.
to not say to her, hey, this was an awful thing you did, and
Yeah, I
mm,
don't know.
yeah,
It's very interesting. I mean, we've talked about it too, where, a teenager does something and the dad's like, nope, nope, acting like their kid is not responsible.
to tell her she has nothing to be sorry for. I just, as a parent, I'm just like, yeah, it's really. I'm not a parent, but that doesn't seem like the right thing to say. But anyway, she was later released on a $150,000 bond. Her dad is fairly wealthy and was able to hire great lawyers. Her trial was scheduled for December 2nd, 2024, but she ended up pleading guilty to all four charges.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
goodness, instead of putting everybody through a trial. And that's her, I'm sure, was on the advice of her lawyers. I don't know that for sure. They never said, but, her lawyers were probably like, you are not going to win a trial, you know. So she was sentenced to 25 years, 15 years for the DUIs and 10 for reckless homicide. And about a week later, her attorneys claimed that the 25-year sentence was unwarranted and grossly disproportionate, citing the Eighth Amendment right to be protected from cruel and unusual punishment. And they cited, like all these other cases, I guess, where the defendant got less time. But the judge will review the motion, although it's unknown when a decision will be made. I don't know, 25 years seems like she got off pretty easy. Eric almost, so the groom, he is alive, but they didn't know if he was going to make it when he was in the hospital. So his injuries were severe, and he's going to be dealing with stuff, physically and emotionally for the rest of his life. Eric Hutchinson sued Jamie Komorowski as well as the 5 bars that served her drinks. According to the lawsuit filed by Eric, Jamie had been
5 bars? I
yeah,
thought you said she had 1 tequila drink and 1 beer.
that's what she said.
Did the bars get together and, like, split the drinks up? My God.
Yeah. According to the lawsuit, Jamie had been bar hopping in the hours leading up to the deadly crash. So there was some drama about, I'm going to mention it, but I kind of was grappling with whether to talk about this because I don't really know the details of what happened, but I'm going to talk about it. So Sam's mother, Lisa Miller, contested the validity of her daughter's hours-old marriage to Eric Hutchinson and petitioned a probate judge to remove Eric as the personal representative of his wife's estate. Which, see, I grapple with this because I could not find anything further, and I don't want to speak ill of Lisa Miller, Sam's mother, but contesting the validity of her daughter's marriage, even though it was only a few hours, they were married.
But do you
Technically, they
think
were
maybe
married.
she did it because she also wanted to sue, but they had not consummated their relationship as a married couple, that maybe she was thinking, I can get it annulled and then I can also sue this girl and get, I don't know. I don't know.
Couldn't she? But this is what I didn't understand, and I couldn't really find a whole lot on it,
Huh.
other than she petitioned to have Eric removed as the representative of Sam's estate, citing this is all if citing in issues of potential fraud. Don't know what that means, and conflicts of interests. Don't know what that means, since
Huh.
he was her husband. A judge eventually granted Miller's family, Eric Hutchinson, and the two others injured in the crash $1.3 million. After legal fees. They will receive a total of $863,000. Now, I don't listen. If anybody who knows Lisa Miller or the whole family or whatever happens to be listening to this, write in and explain it. But just from having just a cursory knowledge of it, it's like, why couldn't she sue as well as her mother? I
I don't
mean,
know.
to petition.
I wonder if there is in South Carolina, if there's some kind of like, every state has different,
Yeah, you're
nuanced
right.
rules. So maybe in South Carolina, there's something that restricts her from suing if he has
If the
already
husband already
sued
sued,
on his wife's behalf.
it's sort of like double jeopardy, right? Where you
Yeah,
can't
I,
be
I mean, you
tried.
never know. It's
Yeah,
very plausible.
yeah. When I looked into the story, it was just sad. I just felt really, really sad. Again, I equate a bride being killed on her wedding day to a mother dying during childbirth. You know what I mean? Like this amazing thing is happening, and they're going forward. Your life should have this amazing thing, and then you die. So to see that there was drama between them, it just made me so sad. But
But I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'll say it a million times before I die. When somebody dies, people go frickin' cuckoo. And I'm
yeah,
not saying that this is what happened with this mother and with this husband who was only married for mere hours to his wife. But literally, you look at people and you think, oh, these are sane, nice, level headed people. And then someone dies and they go,
all bets are off.
all bets are off. So if you have anyone in your family who's a little bit crazy, know that they're going to be even crazier. Okay.
Crazier. And
So
you know
that's
what?
just how it works.
You're absolutely right, though. It could be some kind of loophole or law in South Carolina that, yeah, it can't, more than one person can't sue, blah blah blah. I don't know. But also, it's like, you're not really suing for the money. The money is a symbol, right? I mean, it's like,
Right. And they
it's the
can't get her
only,
back. She's dead.
yeah,
So,
so it's just
you know,
it's a punishment for those people, for those places that served her, and all this. But I don't understand why
and do
she
you really
did
think
that.
that this girl is going to learn her lesson?
Right.
I mean, it
Exactly.
sounds like
But
on the phone calls she's had with her father, she hasn't really learned anything. I mean, maybe after 25 years or whatever, she'll learn something, but sounds like she's already petitioning to have the 25 years reduced,
oh yeah, no, and she was,
because it's
crying.
whatever, cruel and unusual, like incarceration.
punishment, cruel and unusual punishment. And it's like, no, I don't feel that she had any remorse. I mean, she's crying in jail about why did this happen to me? I mean, she just killed someone and
Why did
injured,
I have to go
severely
to
injured.
5 bars that night?
Right? I mean, it's just really sad because I don't and I feel like her pleading guilty was not out of a good conscience and feeling remorseful. It was because her lawyers probably went, listen, you're probably going to get more time if you try to take this trial, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And so it was simply
'Cause
a
that's
legal
how it
move.
looks. That's how it happens. If you look crazy and you look like a liar and you look like you're psychotic and you do stupid shit, guess what? You're gonna get if it goes to trial, you're gonna get more time. And
Yeah, and you
you
look like
know,
you don't care
I
because I don't think.
remember I remember this kid showed up at like my high school reunion one time with an ankle brace on because he had been caught, I don't know, doing something egregious. And you know what he said? He goes, "Well, I had to serve time because I couldn't afford a fancy attorney, so I just was assigned one by the state." And I was like, I'm going to call bullshit on that. I was like, that sounds really, really stupid. I was like, and you must think we just fell out of an apple tree. Wake up and smell the coffee, buddy.
Yeah, anyway, I believe that a jury would have seen right through her, that she has no remorse. Anyway, the settlement came from Enterprise Rental Cars, from which Jamie Komorowski rented a car on the night of the incident, and several bars in Folly Beach, South Carolina. Like I said, 5 of them that served her before the crash. Jamie has a history of traffic violations, although I could not find anything about DUIs. She has a history of speeding dating back to May 2018. In that first instance, she was cited for traveling less than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit in Horry County, South Carolina. She pleaded guilty and paid a $76.50 fine. In November 2018, Jamie pleaded guilty to driving a vehicle at an unreasonable speed given icy road conditions. She was again charged with speeding less than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit in 2019, and after pleading guilty, paid another $76.50. And just a few weeks before the crash, she pleaded guilty for failure to use a turn or stop signal and paid a $25 fine. So a lot of speeding. I did not see anything about driving under the influence.
Hmm.
Although, yeah, so I was trying to look up like what possessed her to do it that night. Was she going through something? What I couldn't find anything. If you guys know anything more about her history, write us, because I'd really like to know what she was. Well, not that you're going to be able to get into her mind, but how do you do that? I just don't get it. I'm so terrified. I'm terrified to speed. I drive like a grandma. Shout out to all grandmas. I drive like going through a parking lot, and it just pisses me off to no end when I see people drive speeding through a parking lot. You know, a parking lot where there's stores and people crossing the parking lot with kids and stuff. And I just don't, I watch them fly by and I think to myself, I don't know how you get behind the wheel of this killing machine, because it really can kill people, and drive like that. Like, do they not think about the consequences? Like, I just think if I hit someone or a kid or something, I would not be able to live with myself. Like,
Yeah.
it would traumatize me to no end. So I don't know how people can be reckless and speed through a parking lot. I that just floors me. So I don't know how you go bar hopping and then drive. Um,
Yeah, I
so
don't.
so both of Eric's legs were broken. He had to learn how to walk all over again. He suffered
Oh,
injuries to his face and back, had brain bleeds and numerous cuts all over his body. His brother-in-law that was driving, he was severely injured. He had like major road rash. Like, you know, that just gave me like, ugh, like, because there was stones and little rocks and stuff inside.
inside.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, that
That's
just gives me,
horrible.
ugh.
That happened to me.
Um,
Remember that when I was talking about
your
the
falls.
happy fall, y'all, and I was talking about falling off the bike. that happened, I got them embedded into like
Oh,
my
I
top of my
can't.
leg and foot, and I had to pick them out with tweezers.
Oh my God, that I can't. I can't. Here I am watching movies where people get their heads cut off, but I can't. That just the just the thought of the pebbles and stuff like embedded. And anyway, Eric has been to the emergency room over 20 times at Jamie's
Wait,
sentencing hearing.
for the same accident?
Yeah.
No, but like at separate, like,
Oh, separate times. Yeah. So at
uh,
Jamie's sentencing hearing, his mother spoke and she said that at up till that point, which was what, probably over a year, he had been to the emergency room over 20 times, and
oh
he's
my
not out
God.
of, it's going to be a lifelong, he's always in pain. And
Oh yeah.
she heartbreaking. So Eric's mother was, so they had victim impact statements, right? They always have that at sentencing, and she recounted how she and her husband cleaned the blood off of Sam's wedding dress and presented it to Eric, as he hadn't seen her after the accident. Um, she also recounted how she was the one that had to tell him. He didn't remember anything. Once the golf cart was hit, he did not remember anything after that. And when he woke up in the hospital, of course, he's asking for his new bride, right? And she had to tell him. I mean, it's just so awful.
Hmm.
Um, she also, the mother was talking about how, you don't really think about all these details of the guests that are probably still back at the reception, how it trails off and people are still there and they're celebrating and this and that. And just a
Yeah.
mile away, the bride is dead on the side of the road. And the Eric's mother said on this, during the hearing, the sentencing hearing, that she got the envelopes, the gifts that people give in the
Oh
envelopes,
God.
and then she had to give it to him, and he went through them without Sam, and it's just freaking awful. She testified that along with the physical injuries, of course, she has to watch him struggle to live without Sam and have survivor's guilt, which I believe the nephew who was the passenger in the front seat, he talked about that too. And he's a young guy and he's going to be traumatized forever.
Right.
Eric, yeah, and Eric would say to his mom he wished it was him instead of Sam. And Eric, his mother tearfully stated that sometimes she wonders if it would have been better if he had gone with her that night, if Eric had died with Sam that night, because what he's having to endure
It's so
now.
sad.
It's so sad. And if anybody's wondering, the golf cart was legal to drive as a low speed vehicle. They were also
Oh yeah.
driving it. They were driving it on a small residential street with a
Hmm.
speed limit of 25 miles per hour. Jamie was driving 65 miles per hour. Can you imagine the impact?
Oh my
Um,
God.
Jamie had taken a wrong turn coming out of the last bar she went to, and she was actually driving in the complete opposite direction from her house. So she just got lost, and she's just a freaking menace. So Sam's mother, Lisa Miller, is still reeling the death of her daughter, of course, but the grieving mother is hoping to turn her heartbreak into action. Since her daughter's death, she has volunteered to do some events with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. She said, "I'd like to turn this into a positive. Sam would want me to do that. You are not even aware of all the tragedy that drinking and driving causes because you only hear about the big stories, but it's so rampant and it's something we need to talk about." She also adds, "Don't say poor Sam's family. Do something about it. Spread the awareness. Talk to your friends' kids. Tell them what to do if they're going to go out drinking. Drink
Mhm.
responsibly. And don't mind your business because you know what? It might be your own family one day." And that is
So
the
sad.
so sad and tragic story of Sam Miller and Eric Hutchinson, because what
Oh,
he's,
I thought you were gonna say that her husband axe murdered her.
well, that's because that's coming in the next story. That's the next murder we're going to do.
That's the next one. Yeah.
Well,
Yippee.
there's plenty of stories like that. Yeah, where they they go somewhere like the Grand Canyon or something, for example, newlyweds, and then one of them pushes the other one off. Um,
Oh
but
my God.
I know people are crazy, but no, this was just a senseless tragedy. Again, I don't understand how you have absolutely no regard.
I don't
Um,
understand
if
either.
if if not for other people, even for yourself, if you're just selfish, right? Like you could
Mhm.
crash into something and die. But yeah, it's like I said, I get very jumpy when I'm in parking lots. I get very jumpy. Like, don't anybody make any sudden moves. Don't jump out in front of me, because
Yeah.
it's like one
Have
of
you
my
ever have you
fears.
ever hit anybody? Like in your
No, thank
car,
God.
even like tap
No,
or hit another
no.
parked car?
I've hit my own car backing up, but
Wow.
no, I don't, and I don't ever want to. And so people who fly through parking lots, shopping mall parking lots, I don't understand it.
So I
I
just
don't.
have to like jump in here when okay, when Cheryl and I were learning how to drive, we had remember, you had to put your
With the
hand,
horse and buggy,
yeah,
with the horse
you
and
had to put
buggy.
your hand behind the front passenger seat. You had to turn your head and learn to steer with one hand while you're navigating using your rear view mirror, your hand behind the passenger seat, and
Oh,
looking behind you. Remember that?
I can't do that, Troy.
Well, I got to tell
I
you,
can't.
when backup cameras became a thing,
Oh God,
I
thank
really
God.
struggled because I didn't want to
Oh,
use the backup camera because I trusted the tried and true process of turning my body and looking out the back window and using the rear view mirrors and the side mirrors. Okay. But then one time I was at Target and I backed up and I didn't see somebody who was coming out with his shopping cart full of stuff. And, and when he saw me, I mean, I had my window down. He was like, "Stupid fucking Asian drivers," and he was pissed but luckily he saw me not see him, and so
he
he got
saw
out of
you not see.
my way, right?
Oh, so he was in a blind spot, sort of, like, or
No, I
whatever.
just was using the old school method, and I should have used the backup camera because the sensors on the backup camera are very,
Right.
very comprehensive. Unless you're like 6 inches tall, it's gonna see something.
Exactly. I actually would, besides having a sunroof, I always have to have a backup camera. I don't think they make cars without them anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I have to use it. I have to use the backup
Yeah,
camera.
so I will tell you that that was the last time that I did that process, and now I always, always use the backup camera,
Yeah.
much to my husband's happiness.
But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get, well, I don't drink, so I uh, chalk it up to her age. I don't know. Hey, that's no shade to all you 25-year-olds out there. She was 25 when she did
Yeah.
this. 25 is old enough to know better. But I just don't know how you do that. Go bar hopping, and then get behind the wheel of a car, and
I know.
you
It's
you
just
can tell
horrible.
she didn't even know where she was going. She was nowhere. She was in the opposite direction of going home. So when you feel like that, you got to say, I need to stop and not do this. I don't even know where I'm going. Like, I just don't even know how you do that.
I mean,
And
I will say that who among us has not been young and impulsive? And I will say I have just been so fortunate as to never having hit anybody. But, I mean, sometimes back in the day, you would like roll the dice and say, who's the most sober person in the car?
see, I'm
And
I
then you would be like, okay, well, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because I don't know.
meeny miny mo, because I don't know. Hey, it rhymes.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, I will tell you that, like, when I hear stories like this, I think, my God, how lucky for all those people who did the same thing, came out of a bar with a group of friends, who's had the least amount to drink. Because, we didn't have Uber back then.
Yeah, I've never been in. Listen, I'm not trying to sound like a saint, but alcohol is never in my life. So I really,
Hmm.
it's just unfathomable for me.
Well, I'll
But
tell you, it was in mine and then it was gone. And this
well,
year I was trying to bring it back, but it didn't really make a huge comeback. I just had a couple glasses of wine. I mean, literally in 1 year, I think I had 3 glasses of wine. So, and those are like maybe like a inch being a glass. So I'm here to tell you it didn't really come back in a significant way for me.
this is the other thing I wanted to talk about. I wanted to ask you what your opinion is on the bars being held accountable.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
absolutely. You know what? Now, like, bartenders are supposed to look for signs. And if someone's acting crazy and drunk, they're supposed to refuse service. And you're supposed
Yeah.
to say, you're getting cut off. And then you have to go find another bar to go to because, they're not supposed to serve you if you show signs of being drunk. I think that's very, very good. Sometimes people can mask drunkenness.
This is true. Although what I saw was that she was staggering at some point.
Yeah.
But you're right though. You're right. You
Well,
know.
I remember I went to Texas and I was in Austin. That's where they have South by Southwest, that music and film festival.
Yeah.
And we went to a club, a comedy club, and it was a 2-drink comedy club. I might not have had anything for dinner because that was back when sometimes you opted to not have to pay for food because you only had enough money for the alcohol. And so I had the 2 drinks at the comedy club, and then we went to a dance club. And I remember having a drink at the dance club. And then the way the story goes, my eyes rolled back in my head and I fell down in the middle of the dance club on the floor.
The way the story goes. Legend has
And,
it. Legend has it.
and the bartender came over and said, you got to take your friend out because she can't be in here. She's had too much to drink. So they dragged my ass out to the street. And then the cops came over and said, we have a law against public drunkenness. You need to get your friend off the street and into a car and get her home. Legend has it they put me in a car and I ended up at a hotel somewhere, like the hotel we're staying at, not just a random hotel. And then I remember making a joke about, well, I guess I don't have to tell you all I'm pregnant, even though I wasn't pregnant. I thought it was funny at the time. But I literally don't think I was drunk. I think I just was really tired. And then when I came home, I went to the doctor and I got a checkup. And the doctor said, well, how many drinks did you have and how much did you eat? And I told him, and he goes, yeah, you can get drunk off of 3 drinks with nothing to eat. So,
Yeah.
so maybe I was a little bit inebriated, but I remember getting back to the hotel and not feeling like I was drunk. So I don't know, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. That's a really good story. I'm so glad I shared that. And the moral of that story is I still don't know what the fuck happened. Yikes.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Honestly,
here for.
though,
Sharing is caring.
sharing is caring. But honestly, people have to be responsible when you drive, even if you're not intoxicated, if you're sleepy, like you mentioned,
Right.
But the fact that she was driving 65 miles on a 20, you can tell when a street. It's a very small street. It's a small residential street. Their Airbnb was on it, and to go 65 is just.
Yeah, that's too fast.
But it's just sad because I had mentioned earlier that she told Eric this, but she also told a lot of her friends and the guests at the wedding, at the reception, before she got in the cart. She was like, it was the happiest day of her life, and she wished the day would never end. And that is just so sickening.
Yeah, that's terrible. I can't even crack a joke because it's so terrible. As much as I want to crack a joke. I can't because it's a horrible story. It's so awful. That's so sad. And it's
Yeah.
sad for, like the survivor's guilt is a real thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, if you or somebody you know struggles with not knowing when to stop drinking or binge drinking or drinking too much, there are 12-step program. It's called AA. They can go to. There's a lot of rehab places, or reach out to somebody that you love and say, I think I might have a drinking problem. Because, sometimes people say it to themselves in their heads, but they won't say it to someone else. But you don't want to inadvertently have to spend 25 years in prison because you had too much to drink and you made a horrible error in judgment and got behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
even
It's a death machine.
it is. And even if you don't have a drinking problem, but you just drank too much on that one occasion, take an Uber. What else is out there?
That's right. Although I don't know if you've ever done this, but you can go and watch Uber interactions with Uber drivers. And sometimes people get in there and they get kicked right out again.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they're
Well,
drunk or because they're rude or because they're inappropriate or, you name it.
wow. Then what do you do?
Well, they end the ride and kick them out because,
No, what do you do as the person that needs the ride?
I guess you're going to be walking. You're going to be hoofing it home.
Oh, God.
Well, Cheryl, this was a very sad story to kick off our first murder episode. It's almost so sad that it's a crime. But you know what else is a crime?
What's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
That is a crime. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. And Callie says, don't complicate your day. All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch managed by Cheryl Yamaguchi. Podcast editing, advertising, and social media managed by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Bojezic. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible.com, Amazon Music, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, or you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.
Bye, fishes.